Miss one 6-month window at 65, and you can pay about $2,600 more every single year for the exact same Medicare coverage. Roughly $32,000 over a 20-year retirement, according to a 2026 analysis from 24/7 Wall St. Nobody warns you about it, because the door only opens once, and once it shuts, most insurers can charge you more or turn you away entirely. I read the fine print so you don't have to. Millions of Americans pick a Medicare Advantage plan at 65 because it looks free, assuming they can switch back to original Medicare whenever they like. The Center for American Progress calls it a one-way door that traps them. Today, I'll show you how to lock in Medigap, audit your Advantage risk, and check your penalty exposure before it costs you. Here's the number that should stop you cold: about $32,000 in avoidable lifetime Medicare costs, according to that 2026 24/7 Wall St analysis. It comes from one thing: enrolling in Medigap Plan G during your 6-month guaranteed issue window versus buying the identical plan later, medically underwritten. But here's the part nobody tells you. The underwritten version isn't just pricier, it can be flat out denied. So here are the 3 moves. Lock in Medigap during your one-time window, audit your Advantage plan's real out-of-pocket risk, and check your penalty and IRMA exposure before any big income year. The mechanism is a rule most people never hear about. When you turn 65 and first enroll in Medicare Part B, federal law gives you a one-time 6-month guaranteed issue window to buy a Medigap supplement. No health questions, no denials. After those 6 months, in most states, insurers can use medical underwriting, charge you more, or refuse you altogether, according to 24/7 Wall St and the Center for American Progress. And the cost of missing it is brutal. During the window, a standard Plan G runs about $150 to $220 a month. After the window, underwritten premiums run $230 to $330 for the exact same coverage, a 30 to 50% surcharge, per that 2226 24/7 Wall St analysis. That's roughly $1,600 more every year for identical protection, simply because of when you signed up. The second layer is quieter, but just as permanent. If you miss your initial Part B enrollment without qualifying coverage, the government adds about 1% per month to your premium, roughly 12% for a year late. And that surcharge never goes away, per the Motley Fool and enrollment guidance. On top of that, IRMA adds income-based surcharges to both Part B and Part D for higher earners. Here's why inaction is so expensive. That 12% penalty applied to the 2026 standard Part B premium of $202.90 means paying about $227 a month instead of $203, nearly $290 extra every year, forever, per the Motley Fool. Over 20 years, a single 1-year delay quietly adds almost $5,800 before you even touch IRMA or out-of-pocket bills. The myth is what makes it dangerous. People believe they can switch back to original Medicare with a Medigap supplement whenever they want. The fact, per 24/7 Wall St and the Center for American Progress, is that Medigap guaranteed issue is a one-time 6-month right. After that, underwriting, surcharges, or denial create a one-way door that traps millions. Put both costs side by side. Missing the Medigap window can add about $32,000 over 20 years, 24/7 Wall St, 2026, and penalties plus IRMA can reasonably add another $5,000 to $10,000, Motley Fool 2026. Combined, treating Medicare as reversible can quietly cost a single retiree roughly $37,000 to $42,000 in avoidable premiums. Meet Linda. She's 65. A just-retired administrative assistant living on about $45,000 a year from Social Security and a small pension, with $250,000 in IRAs. She's newly enrolled in Part A and Part B and picked a Medicare Advantage plan with a $0 premium because, of course, it looked free. Here's what she found. The first discovery: her Medigap guaranteed issue window started the month she enrolled in Part B, and it lasts only 6 months. Inside that window, Plan G runs about $150 to $220 a month. After it, Underwritten premiums jump to $230 to $330, your 30 to 50% increase for identical coverage per 24/7 Wall St. She also learns that after a cancer diagnosis, many people are simply denied Medigap altogether. The second discovery is bigger. In modeled scenarios, traditional Medicare plus Medigap can save $40,000 to $105,000 in out-of-pocket costs over 20 years versus Advantage, because Advantage shifts costs into copays and high MOOP caps per advisor modeling. In one high-usage scenario, the gap reaches $297,000, 6 figures riding on one structural choice. Before I get to the last discovery, which is the most counterintuitive part of all this, here's the trap that follows you for life. If Linda had waited a year to enroll in Part B, she'd face a 12% lifetime penalty, about $24 more a month than the $202.90 standard, per The Motley Fool. And a single big Roth conversion or property sale could trigger IRMA above roughly $106,000 single income, raising both her Part B and Part D premiums. Add it all up for Linda, and the avoidable lifetime cost lands around $40,000. That's the difference between treating her Medicare choices as reversible and treating them as the one-time decisions they actually are, modeled on 2026 premiums from 24/7 Wall St. and The Motley Fool. So, could this be you? You chose a $0 Advantage plan and skipped Medigap. You don't actually know when your 6-month Medigap window ends, and you assumed you could switch to original Medicare anytime you liked. If any of those sound familiar, the next 3 moves are exactly for you. These 3 moves matter because each one shuts off a specific, permanent way to lose money. The closing Medigap window, the hidden Advantage exposure, and the penalties that follow you for life. None of them cost anything, and together they're the difference between a smart retirement and a $30,000 mistake. Let's walk through each one. Move 1. Lock in Medigap while you still have guaranteed issue rights. Find the month you enrolled in Part B and count forward 6 months. That's your deadline. On Medicare.gov, search Plan G policies in your zip. Note the $150 to $220 range typical during the window per 24/7 Wall St. turn. Then apply and get written confirmation there's no medical underwriting. Here's how, step by step. Find your Part B, start month, and count forward 6 months. Search Plan G policies and premiums in your zip on Medicare.gov. Then apply and confirm in writing there's no underwriting. Good looks like Plan G locked in near that, $150 to current $220 range with no surcharge. Move 2. Quantify what your Advantage plan can actually cost you in a bad year. Open your annual notice of change and find the maximum out-of-pocket, the specialist and hospital copays, and the drug tiers. Then on Medicare.gov, confirm your doctors are in-network and check the cap. Many climb toward $800 to $9,300 in network for 2025, per AARP and agent guidance. Step by step, open your ANRC and locate the MOOP and copay sections. Confirm your doctors and hospitals are in network on Medicare.gov. Then compare that worst-case number to original Medicare plus Medigap. Good looks like a MOOP well below the $9,350 cap, and one you could actually afford in a bad year. Move 3. Check your penalty and IRMA exposure before you trigger any big income year. Confirm your Part B enrollment date, because a late start adds about 1% per month permanently. Then review your last 2 tax returns against the IRMA thresholds, around $106,000 single or $212,000 married in one example, per agent guidance, before any Roth conversion or property sale. Step by step, confirm your Part B date and count any months of delay. Check your income against IRMA A thresholds on recent returns. Then spread big income years to avoid a bracket jump. Good looks like no late penalty and premiums near the $4,202.90, please, $38.99 standard. If breakdowns like this are useful, subscribe. The next one's already coming. Why does this door exist at all? In 1965, Medicare launched with no out-of-pocket cap, which made supplemental coverage essential. Starting in 1997, Medicare Advantage expanded with payment rules that research shows often cost more than traditional Medicare. And in 2025, federal rules set the in-network Advantage out-of-pocket limit at $9,350 per AARP, a reminder of exactly how much you're exposed if you can't get back to Medigap. After you act, confirm it worked. You should see a Medigap policy issued with no underwriting. Confirm your Advantage plan's MOOP and network in writing. And if your Part B date was on time, verify there's no late penalty on your bill. Everything here comes from named sources: 24/7 Wall Saint, the Center for American Progress, The Motley Fool, and AIRP. The full links are in the description, so you can verify every number for your own state and year. You now understand the one-time Medigap window, how to audit your Advantage risk, and the penalties that never go away. Next, I'm covering the Roth conversion timing trap, how one good financial year can spike your Medicare premiums for 2 years straight. That trap catches smart retirees who did everything else right, and it's entirely avoidable if you see it coming. If you want to catch that one, subscribe now so you don't miss it.